how to make a successful career change with me, Mei Ping. Sometimes when we want to make a career change, want to look for a job, it can feel very demotivating, can feel very frustrating. So here's some inspiration for your next few months. So this is actually a client that I worked with since a very long time. So she said, extremely happy to have met you, get myself committed in a career growth journey with you. Can't wait to get you posted on my new role. So this is actually a client that I met in 2021. So when I met her in 2021, she was working in a SME and feeling a bit overwhelmed. So she told me that, Mei Ping, I want to work in a big company and I've really been to multiple interviews, but I find it very difficult to pass the interview. So what do you think am I doing that I am doing wrong? So that was how we met in 2021. So during the one-on-one call, I told her to tell me, right, what were the questions that were asked. And she also told me answers. And I told her that, okay, no, you don't answer like this because hiring managers don't like it. So I helped her to restructure the answers, and eventually she managed to join an MNC, and it's a household brand. If I say it, you'll know it. So she did. Then after that, right, she focused on doing well at her job. So she did really, really well at her job. And eventually, of course, she still followed my LinkedIn advice, making sure that she had a very good LinkedIn profile. So eventually, she actually got the best of both worlds. So she got an internal promotion with a 20% salary increment. And at the same time, she was also headhunted on LinkedIn to join another MNC, another global brand with 39% salary increment. So sometimes, right, it can come to a situation whereby you kind of get the best of both worlds. But the thing that you don't see is the path of self-improvement, the path of learning how to adapt, learning how to upskill, learning how to talk to people, learning how to present even though you are scared, like learning how to talk to someone who is more senior than you, learning how to like recommend proposals, or learning how to do report writing in a way that makes sense. Like sometimes these things will take some time. So sometimes we see people, we see the success of the career change, we see the success of the new job, but you don't see the effort that the person put in. So for this particular client right now, she is in my career program, the Corporate Survivor, and she's also attending the monthly mentoring calls. So the monthly mentoring calls are sessions that I run for students who are basically 9 to 5 professionals like you. And there's an opportunity for you to submit a question, ask your question about your latest career situation to get my guidance and advice. So this is something that we do every single month. And for October, it's going to be a special job search workshop. So mainly focus on getting opportunities. So just wanted to demonstrate to you that it's a journey. So if you're at this point that you feel that, oh, passing an interview is the biggest challenge, just want to show you that maybe sometimes what you're missing is just that little tweak. Then once you have the chance to join a new company, there's always a chance for you to do well and have success in the new company, right? So don't give up, because as I said, this client I met in 2021. Now we are already in 2023, moving to 2024, and she is still working with me in a different capacity. In the past, we did a couple of one-on-one calls, and nowadays she's in the program. She's self-learning from the lessons, and she's attending the monthly mentoring calls. So different capacity, but still focus on career development, because career growth is long-term, right? Okay, let's move on to the next one. Okay, so this is actually from a client who is a lawyer who wanted to move from a legal firm to MNC, and similar to my career journey as well, where at one point in my career I wanted to move from an accounting consulting firm to MNC, to a corporate world, but I was really afraid and I didn't know how to do it. So this was actually the same situation with this client who was a lawyer. So when she came to me, she has already applied for many, many, many jobs. She went for multiple interviews, but she found it very difficult to even get a job offer. So the problem that we diagnosed together was the fact that she was very good at her job, but she couldn't really explain it or articulate about her good job. So yes, right, her resume has like the legal qualifications and stuff like that, and she is kind of vague, but she didn't feel confident in her resume, and therefore when she went for the interview, she always failed because she felt very nervous, right, conveying what she could do, and she also didn't know how to convey in a very structured way. So anyway, these are actually skills that can be learned. So after that, she managed to get the job. Then this was actually the message that she sent to me starting her new job. So this is still the first few weeks of her new job. So she successfully moved to a bank in AVP position. So she said, I just want to say a big thank you to you again. I reflected on my career journey and realized it was actually pretty unpleasant, but the usual culture of that field, legal field, as compared to the current one, I feel so blessed, grateful to have met you when I was lost and not sure what to do. At that time, there was no one else around to provide any useful advice. And she came over my podcast, and yep, still new at this job, but I feel so good. Continue to improve to allow me to pass the probation successfully, and a big thank you to you. So here is what I want to show you in the sense of like, whatever transition that you're making, whatever career change and career move that you're making, there'll always be challenges. But it's more important to look ahead, or whether the change is worth it. If it's worth it, then you invest your time, effort, and energy to make it happen. Like this client, when she first joined my program, she's already spent months applying and spending all her time attending interviews, but couldn't pass any of the interviews. So eventually, she joined a program, we did our strategy call together, and she got the job really quickly. So that's a lot of I would say time and mental energy saved. Then she could then refocus her energy on really starting the new job to the best of her abilities. And she's actually now doing really well in her job. It's been almost a year already. So she's doing really, really well. So sometimes it's kind of like starts with the courage of like getting the right advice and learning the right thing so you can implement it as well. So sometimes overthinking doesn't really help. Because as she said here, right, she's been like trying to ask people around what to do, but no one was able to give her the good advice, and therefore she eventually started doubting herself. So that's the thing that like we will quickly want to like move out of it. Okay, next one. So this is actually from a client who was on a career break after working for 2 years. So this is a situation of like starting a job after graduation, 2 jobs, and not knowing how the corporate world works. So this client quit both jobs after working about 1.5 years each. So about 2 years of experience. She quit both jobs due to the same problem, which is the fact that she was lost and she felt that she couldn't handle the job and she quit. If you are not successful in a certain new job or a career change, we really want to reflect as to like, what am I not doing correctly? Because to quit a different job due to similar reasons, that is a red flag that's like you need to do something. You need to do something because there may be something that you're not seeing. It's like a blind spot. You're lost in some way, but you can't quite pinpoint what's the problem, right? So that's something that you really want to do. So, so for this client, she joined the program and she used the job search lessons. So remember, I said my job search lesson is called the 30-day job search lessons. So she actually found a job in 30 days. And the biggest change is what she told me, right? She said, thank you. I came to you when I was completely lost, grateful that you were there to guide me to my career path. And I really thought the one-on-one call would solve my problems, but it's just a Band-Aid solution. The core problem I had was addressed in your course, and I managed to rectify it and improve myself from there. Your job search program really helped me a lot. I didn't expect to get results so fast. Your course, honestly, best investment I made in myself. Can't thank you enough. How good is the course? Will continue to watching the videos and progress well in my career. So to me, right, this client shows you and shows me as well that once you have the right insights, the change can happen very quickly. For this client, right, she was on a career break for about 1.5 years. And every day in the career break is not getting better because she still lacked clarity, she's still lost. So the longer the career break continued, the more lost she felt. And now she's feeling more anxiety because can you imagine your parents are like nagging you to go and get a job. At the same time, you feel lost and frustrated. So that was actually the situation where she was in. And when she approached me, she really wanted to just do the one-on-one call. And I explained to her and say that, okay, let's kind of like revisit actually what went wrong with the job. Because if you have quit 2 jobs due to the same reason, then there might be something that you're not seeing. And since you're a young professional, and it happens to 90% of young professionals, is because you don't understand the corporate world. So I actually recommended her to sign up for the course instead, which actually helps her go through these step by step. So after she went through all this, she's like, okay, now I know what's the problem. It's because I didn't do A, B, C, D, E correctly, and that's why I'm struggling with this. So once she saw that, then when she jumped into the job search program, she was very clear on what she wanted. And she also made an industry change. And in the new role that she got, even though she has been on a career break for 1.5 years, right, she actually got a 40% salary increment. So it's still possible to make a career change, to still get salary increment, even though you have been on a career break for some time. But how you do it is so important. Okay. So I'll just share the last one with you. So this was actually a client. She's a pharmacist, and when she first connected with me, she didn't really understand LinkedIn. So she asked me. She said, "Miping, are you sure LinkedIn can really help me to get the next job opportunity? Because I don't really know how to use it, right?" Then I told her, just because you don't know how to use something doesn't mean it's not useful. So we need to really make sure that you're setting up your profile correctly, and you can attract opportunities and so forth. So that's exactly what she did. So she sent me a message. This was a couple of months ago. She said, I followed through your corporate survivor course. I made changes to my LinkedIn profile and I got headhunted. They found me through my LinkedIn profile. So changing into a different industry with a 30% pay rise. Now, this is from someone who, when she first came to me, she's like, Miping, I don't understand this whole LinkedIn thing. How does it work? And, a lot of my friends are on it and they don't know how to get opportunities, and I'm still not sure like what to do with it. So I said, okay, what I want you to do is you can join the program, and I would like you to get started with the job search lessons and pay a specific focus on the exact step-by-step I teach on revamping and optimizing your LinkedIn profile. Because what I teach are things that I have done, and up to today, I'm still getting opportunities as well. So on October 14, I'm actually going to run a 2-hour job search workshop for all students in my program. And what I have told everyone is to actually make sure that if you're joining the job search workshop, to make sure that you spend some time looking through the Corporate Survivors job search bonus lessons. So in here, there are 20 lessons in there around career interest and direction, like revamping resume to highlight achievements, which is what everything that I talked about just now. Then how to utilize your LinkedIn, job search strategy, interview skills. I would actually highly encourage you to go through this entire job search bonus lessons that are already in the program. So if you're my client and you plan to join the workshop that we're going to do on October 14, please make sure that you spend some time to review some of these lessons first. Because sometimes when we are so into the job search process, it's very hard to see maybe certain areas that we are missing. So I highly encourage you to like go through the lessons again just to see whether are there any gaps, right? That we kind of like forgotten or got distracted, or maybe it was a bit of an oversight during the application process that you can still improve. Because for this job search lessons, actually it's lifetime access. So that means that like the moment you join, you have this module for the rest of time. It's also online. You can access it 24/7, and you can refer to the lessons as you need. So I would highly encourage you to do that. So that when you come to the workshop on the 14th, that's going to be October the 14th, then we can really tackle some of the core challenges and some of like the myths around job search, and I can definitely share with you more details around like how hiring managers are looking at your situation and share a bit of that, because I've hired people from like fresh graduate all the way to director level when I was at Standard Chartered, and definitely the way that like hiring managers are looking at certain things is not really like general knowledge. I think a lot of advice that you get out there are just things that recruiters say or HR say, which are still important, but at the same time they are not the final person who will be signing the job offer, right? They're not the one who's like going to give you the job offer. They're just like a administrative facilitator, right, to pass your resume to the hiring manager. So the hiring manager is like the head of department, the senior manager, or the director who is doing who's actually like hiring for their team, right? So this is like part of like resource and budget. So that was something that I did when I was in Standard Chartered. So actually kind of like looking at the overall team, the requirements, and then HR is just like the party that helps me to do the job posting, like on behalf of the team and on behalf of the company to get the talents to apply. So like you really want to make sure that like you are thinking it through and really trying to understand like what hiring managers are looking for. And that's something that I do share in detail. So if you're already a client in my career program, I highly recommend you revisit the job search bonus lessons. There are literally 20 lessons in there, and you can go into the specific section that you need. So for example, if you feel that there is some issues around your value positioning, so maybe the way that you articulate your value is not clear, and that's why you're not getting interesting roles, then make sure that you go through the week one to make sure that whether the areas that you are looking at, is it precise enough? And then make sure you also go through week two to see whether the way that you're selling your value in your resume, is it clear or is it all over the place? Because just because we write something in our resume doesn't mean it's good enough, right? You want to be very precise about it. So definitely these two lessons I would recommend. Then if you're struggling during the interview phase, then definitely look into week four. So the way that I teach how to answer interview questions are exactly what a hiring manager wants to hear. So when I was interviewing for my department and my team in the past as a senior director and like head of department, these are the answers that I really want to hear, at least structured in this way. So I highly encourage you to go into like week 4 to reflect on the way that you're answering questions, because we have so many lessons in there and these are like the common questions. And I definitely share some insights as well. So I hope that you can take some of the lessons that I've shared with you in terms of like making career decisions, thinking long term around your career path, and really following the steps on seeking out new opportunities and learning how to better adapt and perform and become successful with any job change, right? So any role, any job, any industry, any boss, right, any company, is you want to make sure that you increase your chance for success at every single role.